Welcome, adventurers! You've made it to the Wind Down, the live stream at the end of the Geekverse. It's a chill place to hang out here as the sun sets on another day. We're here to have a little chat, reflect on the day's successes, and prepare for a better tomorrow. So settle in with your favorite beverage this evening.
May I tempt you with a cup of chamomile?
Why, thank you, Dory. I would love a mug of tea this evening, but perhaps you would rather have some coffee, though I do recommend a decaf this late in the evening. Or perhaps maybe a cold brew is more your style.
Oh, no, thank you, Dory. A little red wine. For me, I think.
Sounds like an excellent choice, Gandalf. Whatever you want, it's yours. Could I offer you a bourbon, a martini, an old-fashioned, or something perhaps a little stronger? Ugh, well, I mean, if that's really your thing, then okay, but I hope we can find something a bit better than that.
Romulan ale? Why, Bones, you know this is illegal.
I only use it for medicinal purposes.
All right, now we're talking. I'm Heath, and I'll be your host. Welcome to my home. Come one, come all, writers, artists, sculptors, storytellers, board gamers, streamers, dungeon masters, fans of sci-fi, fantasy, geeks of all kinds. Whatever your fandom, you have a place here. For soon it will be time for another long rest so that we can recover our hit points, our spells, and our abilities, so we'll be ready to fight on for another day tomorrow. But first, we all need a little time to reflect. Because you've survived another long, perilous day of wilderness treks, dungeoneering, and random encounters. And that's worth celebrating. Let's tell the tale. It's time for the Wind Down. It will improve your life. It really will. Give it a chance. Here we go. Hey everybody, of course I gotta click this button over here so that I'm on full screen. Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to the Wind Down. I'm Heath, so welcome to my home, welcome to the office, and welcome to this evening's stream. So I'm a little bit later this evening because I had something going on, but I still wanted to stream on Wednesday night. So we're going to be talking about old school essentials and I think moving quite a bit forward with our Bard and Druid and other priestly classes when we're talking about the Celtic kind of environment or the Celtic world. I've been sitting here working on it a little bit this evening. Hey, welcome, Stray. Great to see you. Welcome. Great to have you this evening. A lot of stuff's been going on. Last night, I went out with a friend of mine. We went out to a brewery, and it was a fantastic evening. We talked storytelling. So she is also a writer, and she is was one of the beta readers on the Clovis and Anorta chapters. And so she gave me some additional feedback on that and had written some notes on some paper that she gave me, a printout of the story. So she gave that to me. I hope the background music isn't too loud. Do I need to reduce it a little bit? I'll see about that. Just let me know. So we went out, and so we had a long discussion about storytelling, stories. Actually, also talked about the Heroine's Labyrinth, which is Doug's work that of course we've done a lot of discussion on, especially on the Table Talk channel. Story structure, talked about her stories, talked about mine. Then we played Magic. I introduced her to the game Magic the Gathering while we were having beer, and so it's great. Hey, BGD, welcome, welcome, welcome. Great to see you. So that's what happened yesterday, and then this evening, today I was gone for most of the day, and so now here I am. I wanted to be sure that I had some time after I got back in to work on the material before I went live. So I've been doing that for the past few hours. So here we go. We are working on. I've been trying to decide exactly what it is. The best way to release this, because I have been packing up. Well, I guess I should say that I have been packing up the Cultist Kickstarter campaign rewards. I shipped out a bunch of them Monday, so I think that on Sunday, the last time that I streamed, I had packed up a whole bunch of them, but they hadn't shipped yet. But on Monday, I shipped out I think about 12 more reward packages, which puts us at about 66% shipped. And then I realized I didn't have quite enough of some of the packages to ship out some of the other ones. But they're here now. They showed up on my porch today. So these are some of the big mailing envelopes right here. So here they are. And then I also have some of the other small ones. So those are all here now. So I am trying to get through pledge levels 1 to 5, like in the next day or so. So there are only like 4 more pledge levels, or excuse me, 4 more reward packages that I have to pack up in order to have satisfied all of pledge levels 1 to 5. And they had different things, like they added on different shirts and things like that. So they were a little bit different. So I was waiting to do that until I had, I packed up all the easy and kind of ordinary ones. Then I got some more of the packages in, and we'll send those out, or we'll pack those up probably tomorrow, actually, to ship out. And then we will get into anyone who wanted to have something signed. Okay, so we're at 66% fulfilled right now, which I'm very happy with. I have also, if you were international, there were about 4 or 5 people who I think I uploaded directly to the printers, the drive-through RPG service, to ship their books directly. And then also I put in their free sticker, because you get the free branded Cthulhu sticker. And so if you were international, I put that in an envelope, because I had your book. I signed up to have your book, or I entered the book order to have it sent direct to you from drive-through RPG from within your country. If you were from the UK, or you were in Australia, really, they were the UK and Australia, and also a little bit of Canada. I personally mailed your free sticker to you, and then also entered your order to be shipped to you. So those things are going out. So we are satisfying a whole bunch of things. I still feel like I have a whole bunch of shirts in my room over here, because I guess it's like the top 20%, I guess, of backers who got like all of these shirts that I have ordered. So I've shipped out some shirts, so that some of the shirts have gone out with what I've got. But I suppose in the next week or something like that, I guess I'll be getting to all the shirts. So yeah, no, I haven't shipped anything to Abu Dhabi. Stray saying, trying to send stuff to Abu Dhabi. I have not shipped anything to Abu Dhabi. I was trying to control where I had to ship to. So yeah, there was no Abu Dhabi. There was the US, there was Canada, there was the UK, and there was Australia. Basically, that was it. Which is probably how it will be again. And I tell you what, next time when we put together the Kickstarter campaign for the kinds of things that we're working on right now, I'm going to be doing a lot fewer like add-ons and things, because that does slow things down. So I'm like, all right, hey, let's do this. Let's do pledge level 3. Okay, everybody in pledge level 3 should have these things. Except for everybody in pledge level 3 does not have those things, because somebody has added on this, and somebody has added on that, and somebody has added on this. So they're all different, so they require additional time, which makes shipping go a bit slower. So I'm thinking that, next time, maybe we just don't do add-ons at all, or something like that. Maybe we just don't do add-ons, that everybody who's at a pledge level gets gets exactly the same thing. If you want this book, and this book, it's this pledge level. So that when I open up that pledge level, I ship everything, I ship exactly those to everybody. I'm thinking about that, because it'd be nice to be able to simplify the logistics. There's a lot of things that I wanted to do with the Cultists Kickstarter that I'm very glad that I did, but it complicates things. So I'm definitely thinking about how do I simplify them for the next campaign. All right, let's go ahead and go in here. Okay, so we're not about to be done with the character classes, but we are getting much closer with our Celtic character classes for our old school essentials, our old school kind of role playing. We're getting much closer. So I was trying to basically work through them. And the last time we kind of worked on Bard, Druid, and Vate, because those were our three priestly classes in Celtic society. And we did pretty well there, and they're still not done, but they're getting closer because I was working on them for the past couple of hours before I went live here. So we may not drop down to Vate, but we'll just go through Bard. We'll talk through it. We'll talk through Druid. The spells are still not done. I'm still going to have to work on the spell lists. But other than the spell lists, we might be getting close. And then we can go on to Fian, which is the equivalent of our Ranger, and the Feared's Rabbit, and then Raider, and then the Riestrad, which we've done work on before. So we're getting closer. And actually, I was thinking about this, BGD, we're talking about stats. And I was talking about, well, gee, I really don't like working on the RPG stats. It's not, I don't mind working on it for like these character classes because they're so important, you know, trying to nail down these character classes. When I really start to like, oh, okay, God, I got to work on RPG statistics. It's when I've got like, okay, now here, do the RPG statistics for the next 200 kinds of bad guys you could fight. Okay, well, okay. To me, that's a bit less interesting. But doing RPG statistics for like the main character classes, these are so important, you have to get them right. Okay, so we've got Bard. Okay, so the Bard is the first of the priestly orders, right? Because there are 3 different kinds of priestly orders in Celtic society. And we are not trying to have people go from one class to another. Like we said that we early on, like 2 streams ago, we're like, okay, do we have something like where you have to start out as a bard in order to become a druid later? We decided not to do all of that. So bard has levels, you know, 1 to 14, druid 1 to 14, and vate 1 to 14. But these are the priests. But bard is one of the priestly orders of Rabavania, or one of the priestly orders in our Celtic environment. Because this right now, I'm still kind of writing this in terms of Rabavania, but I'm like, do I extract this? Which seems at the moment increasingly likely that, like, okay, this also needs to be written so it's just a Celtic source book for OSE. Okay, so Bard, kind of based on the OSE player's tome. Minimum Dex 9, minimum Intelligence 9. And that seems pretty standard. We took a really hard look at the different kinds of minimums that the Old School Essentials is placing on different character classes. And even when it seems like you should have a higher kind of minimum, it actually seems like that for every character class, your minimum is 9. And so in this case, it's 2, Dex and Int. But I kind of carried that through because that was what was going on. Even if it's like, hey, no, like 9, that's a little bit less than 10. No, if you're supposed to be a bard, you'd need to be higher than average in something. Well, it just seems like that's actually not the way that OSE works. So this is the Old School Essentials way to interpret this. So Bard requirements, minimum Dex 9, minimum Int 9. Prime requisite Charisma, hit dice D6, maximum level 14. We've gone leather, scale armor, mail, but no shields. So they don't have shields, weapons, missile weapons, and one-handed melee weapons. Languages include Common, so that's kind of what you go with in a Celtic environment, but we'll go Rabbit in the Rabavanian environment. Anti-charm, when a bard plays music or sings, allies within 30 feet are immune to song-based magical effects and the beguiling powers of sylvan creatures or fairies. Oh, wait a minute. So let's, not sylvan. We have a new word for this. So let's go over here. It is this. The Kuos Fina. Whoop. So let's use that here. Oh, right here. Of the Kuos Fina. And we're going to be general about this, or other creatures from the other world. Okay, so while a bard plays music and sings, allies within 30 feet are immune to song-based magical effects and the beguiling powers of the Kuos Fiena or other such creatures from the not otherworldly, just otherworld. Allies already under the effects of such magic may make another saving throw with a +4 bonus. Combat. Bards can use... Okay, so if we are going... Actually, this is supposed to be the Rabavania version. We'll have to convert it back if we're going to do just the pure Celtic version. But we don't want to say leather. We want to say bark cloth. Bark cloth armor, scale armor, or mail may use bark cloth. Scale armor and mail, but do not have the training required to use shields. They can use all missile weapons and all one-handed melee weapons. Okay. Wait a minute. So what exactly does this refer? This is Divine Magic. Page 123. I think we looked at this. But they get magic through Divine Magic. And which book was this? Advanced Fantasy? Well, this says Advanced Fantasy. Oh, wait. I looked at 126. Okay, so that's true. So what does it say about Divine Magic? Divine spellcasters memorize spells through prayers to their gods. When praying for spells, divine spellcasters may choose any spell in their class's spell list that they are of high enough level to cast. Divine spellcasters can cast the reversed version of a spell by speaking the words and performing the gestures backwards while it's cast. Oh, we're going to have some that... Okay, we need to be sure that that doesn't happen with some. A friend made a bard last week based on Nathan Exclusion from Death Clock. I don't know what that is. Wait, where'd my document go? Okay. So, and then Deity Disfavor. Okay, we got that. A divine spellcaster may draw disfavor from their deity when casting spells whose effects go against the deity's alignment. I don't know. Do we really need all of this? Because I don't know if we may just specify the spells. Some of them are in reverse that you can't cast normal. So should we just talk about, instead of referring you someplace, just talk about memorizing? Maybe we should. Can they reverse spells? Maybe they can't, because we're going to have them have the curse. Oh, it's a heavy metal cartoon? Okay, I'm sorry, I don't know it. Deity Disfavor. Okay, but that includes bards must be faithful to the tenets of their animistic religion. We're intentionally keeping this kind of vague. And to the spirits of rock, root, and stream, bards who fall from the favor of the spirits may incur penalties at the game master's discretion. Spellcasting. Once a bard has proven their faith from second level, the character may petition the spirits to receive spells. The power and number of spells available to a bard are determined by experience level. See the bardic spell list for spells available to the bard. Now that's something that's still got to be worked on. Using magic items. Now I did work on this because we talked a lot about scrolls, because it certainly doesn't make sense that they cast from scrolls, because the Druids are big on not writing things down, so it doesn't make any sense for the Druids to write something down. And then likewise, similarly, since the Druids don't write things down, especially somebody like a bard who is based on oral tradition, you shouldn't really be using scrolls. But on the other hand, I was thinking that I shouldn't completely discount their ability to make something that produces some kind of one-time magical effect, which is right. You know, I said, like, this is like this. So whether it is some type of stone, stick, or bone that is inscribed with the Ogham alphabet, that could be something that's kind of spell scroll like. That was kind of my thinking, that they're not ever going to write down something. So you can't learn a new spell from a scroll, because people don't write down a scroll like that. They don't write down the spell. They would consider that, a heresy or something. But that's not necessarily to say that they couldn't produce some kind of item that someone who knows the spell could use to produce a one-time magical effect. So that's how I kind of, in a sense, kind of had it both ways. Okay, it's not a scroll, but there might be some type of, as some kind of item that allows you to cast a one-time magical effect. And if it's from your sphere, then you should be able to use that item. So as spellcasters, bards can use any item, such as stones, bones, or that should be or sticks inscribed with the Ogham alphabet. Why don't we say characters of the Ogham alphabet that produces a one-time magical effect, so long as that effect is on their spell list. Why don't we say on the bardic spell list? On the bardic. They may also use any items that only druids can use, though as if they were a druid of 2 levels lower than their bard level. Does that sentence make sense? They may also use any items that only druids can use, though they use them as if they were a druid of 2 levels lower than their bard level, if that ever matters. Bards may also use any magical musical instrument. Okay, so I think that makes sense. There seems to be some type of runic something. It's not a spell scroll, but in some ways it is like that. So it's a way for them to produce like the single magical effects, but without having to write the whole thing down that somebody could copy into a spell book or something, because that's just not happening. Poet's privilege. Bards gain +1 reaction. +1, that should be 2 reaction rolls. This is the wrong kind of roll here. +1 to reaction rolls for every 3 levels from others in their same cultural group. And I kind of feel like we should give that, this could even be 4 or something. I'm not exactly sure how this should be, but it seems like all members of the priestly class should receive some type of reaction roll from members of this particular cultural group. So bards, and it may be that bards need to get that every 4 levels, and then the vates need to get that every 3 levels, and the druids need to get that every 2 level or something like that. I think it needs to be spaced so that the higher you are on the clerical or on the priestly cast, you get reaction rolls. You get larger reaction rolls to people of your culture. So I was still working on this, and I'm not sure how I'm going to go with this, because I was still trying to read. Oh, hey, Better with Bacon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Great to see you. Welcome. So I'm still working with this. I think this needs to just be a spell, as we said that, okay, we need some kind of like bardic satire that the bards, are able to throw out. And it seemed like the AD&D book recommended that worked like curse and then bestow curse. So like 2 different levels of that at 2nd level. So I am still looking at what we looked at what those were inside, inside the OSE. We got bless, because it shouldn't be. So it's bless reversible, which is curse, and then remove curse, which is reversible. I don't think they need to be doing bless and remove curse. This is something they do satirically in their verse. So I'm still unclear as to. I'm gonna have to look at this in greater detail than I'm gonna do on stream. But this is one of the last major things to do with Bard, other than its spell list in general. Is this dealt with as a spell-like power, or is this as something to make sure that is included on their spell lists? I'm not sure. But I don't want to include the reverses. But I do want to. We do have the statement instead of the reverse, we just have the statement that a bard may remove any curses placed upon another in this way by any other bard of a lower level. So if you come across somebody who has been cursed by some kind of biting satire or something, a higher level bard can come by and remove that. So that one I'm still working on. Enchantment. By playing music and singing, the bard can fascinate subjects in a 30-foot radius. This ability does not function in combat. Number of subjects up to 2 HD of creatures per level of the bard are affected. The bard may choose to target a specific individual or a group, in which case the affected individuals are determined randomly. So I kind of wrote this for Rabivania. I was like, what other kind of creatures are there? At first level, the bard can fascinate other rabbits, mice, raccoons, weasels, and anything else that's speaking. I want to go back and make sure that I have that complete list. At 4th level, non-speaking animals such as snakes, foxes, boars, etc. may also be affected. And then at 7th level, monstrous creatures from the other world, Tier Duin, may also be affected. Each subject may save versus spell or be fascinated as follows. Rapt, fascinated, a subject's attention is fully bent on the bard's performance so long as it continues. Follow, the bard may walk while playing. Fascinated subjects will follow. We said this is very Pied Piper-like, but okay, I've left it at the moment. Interruptions, if the performance is interrupted, such as by loud noise or violence, the fascination ends immediately. This is the XP chart that I copied over from OSE. Charming fascinated subjects. If the bard performs for at least one turn and the performance ends without interruption, fascinated subjects may be placed under a deeper charm. Each subject may make another save versus spell with a +2 bonus or be charmed for 1 turn per level of the bard. Friendship. Charmed subjects regard the bard as a trusted friend and ally and will come to the bard's defense. Commands. If they share a language, charmed subjects will obey the bard's command. Nature, alignment, commands that contract the charmed creature's nature. And I haven't talked about alignment all that much here at all. I'm kind of like leaving it out. Nature, let's just say nature. The charmed creature's nature may be ignored. And then also suicidal commands. Charmed subjects never obey suicidal or obviously harmful commands. Bards learn new languages as they advance in level. I kind of think that the druids are also going to need to do that. At every even numbered level above 3rd, the player may choose an additional language. Bards may learn the secret tongue of druids in this way. See Druid Advanced Fantasy 40. From 2nd level, a bard has a 2 in 6 chance of knowing lore pertaining to monsters, magic items, or heroes of folklore, folktale, or legend. The ability may be used to identify the nature and power of magic items. The bard can establish a bardic hall. Hey, RPG Gen Exile. Great to see you. Welcome, welcome. 2d6 apprentice bards of 1st level will come to study under the character. But we were going to say that this is really important because this is a hall which essentially immortalizes warriors and kings. And then once we do the gear, we'll come back and do basic loadouts because I don't want to have somebody trying to make a character by picking a bajillion different items for how many golds or copper they've got or something. Let's just do basic loadouts for all of our characters. So to me, that's a pretty good bard. That pretty much does it, except for the big thing that is still going is exactly how their curse works, which I've got to work out, which has bearing upon the bardic spell list. And right now the bardic spell list is basically what is called the druid spell list in Old School Essentials. Animal friendship, detect danger, entangle, fairy fire, invisibility to animals, locate plant or animal, predict weather. Some of these definitely I think need to go over to druid. I think this spell list requires more thought. Bark skin, create water, cure light wounds. We said they could drop that to move that over to another character for niche protection purposes. Heat metal, obscuring mist, produce flame, slow poison, warp wood. Call lightning. Yeah, that's too aggressive. That needs that needs to be specifically Druid, I think. That's what, 3rd level or something? Call Lightning, that one comes over to Druid for sure. Hold Animal, protection from poison. I mean, that one also seems rather Druidic. Tree shape, water breathing, or air breathing. Yeah, the witches may end up being the healers, or actually, and some of the, I don't know. Dispel magic, protection from fire and lightning. Speak with that one also seems rather Druidic. Speak with plants, summon animals, temperature control, commune with nature, control weather, pass plant, protection from plants and animals, transmute rock to mud, wall of thorns. I think the Druids need some of those at least. But anyway, so that's where we stand with Bard. I think it's pretty good. Look at their curses, and then the whole spell list has got to be worked on. Okay, so Druid. Okay, I was working on this one too. I went ahead and gave that minimum requirements, even though it's most based on magic user. There's no minimum requirements for being a magic user in OSE. But I was like, oh, we should probably have some, because it just seems like a Druid is special. But on the other hand, that you have to have some type of minimum competency in order to be a Druid. But then again, in keeping with the OSE style of things, the minimum requirements aren't that much. They're always 9s. So I was like, okay, could we do something where we said that, okay, a Druid has to have a minimum wisdom and minimum intelligence of 9, while simultaneously that is their prime requisites, intelligence and wisdom? I mean, I can't really see you're trying to play a Druid with either intelligence or wisdom less than 9, but this would stop you from doing that. I mean, 9 is still, less than 10, it's a bit below average. And you're tempted to say, no, wait a minute. If you're going to play a Druid, you got to be above average in these. But the way OSE works is that that's just never the case. So instead, we kind of gate it with a minimum and then say prime requisites are int and wisdom. And I think that we have down here a Druid with at least 13 int and wisdom gains a 5% bonus to XP. A Druid of at least an intelligence of 16 and a wisdom of at least 13 gains a 10% bonus to XP. And I said we might want to swap the 16 int for wisdom. I kind of think we should. So let's say a Druid with a wisdom of at least 16 and an intelligence of at least 13 receives a 10% bonus. Okay. Stray says, I remember Dryad once cast a spell lost on me that caused me to lose my place on the hex map. What a pain. Oh. That does sound like it sucks. But that does sound very like Dryad-like. I did kind of work with our equipment right here. Let's see. Okay. So I went ahead and said, like, Druid being our more wizardly type character, inspired by Merlin and Gandalf. We're going to go hit die D4. I mean, this is our big wizard type. So, okay, hit die D4, maximum level 14. Went ahead and said no armor. Okay, I dropped the swords over here. I said, okay, weapons, dagger, short sword. Oh, okay, short sword is here. Staff. I haven't completely finalized our gear list, so we're gonna have to look. Like I said, we're gonna have to look at the gear list once we actually sit down. Like, hey, let's make a Celtic gear list. Maybe having short sword here is okay. Sickle is, somebody brought up scimitar or something like that. Let me leave sickle here as kind of a question mark. It's kind of a specialty weapon, but we might have it. But I originally had in here basically swords, like broadswords or long swords, based on like Gandalf using one. But there is a balance issue here in OSE that magic swords are pretty common to find. And neither clerics nor wizards can use those. Wizard being here druid. Neither of those can use those canonically in like OSE. So who gets to use the cool magic swords to level them up? The fighters. And so in that case, I was like, it doesn't really make sense for if you find a magic sword for the druid and the fighter to be arguing over it. It should go to the fighter. Short sword, maybe okay. Let's leave dagger. They have staves. In the old school essentials here, we have the optional rule that like the magic users can use staves, which I think they should be able to, because otherwise it's just dagger. We'll leave the swords to the later version of the druids. But here, okay, they can have a dagger, they can have a short sword, they can have a staff, which is very important to them. Or maybe if we have the specialty weapon, some kind of sickle. Okay. Languages, okay, common. We're going to start that. And they really need to start another language. And then we'll say that Druid with at least a 13 int and wisdom gains 15%, 5% bonus to XP. If you've got a wisdom of 16 and an int of 13, you get a 10% bonus to XP. And like, why is that? I always wonder why that is. But that's trying to encourage you, if you roll certain stats, to play certain types of characters. That must be what that is. And so that's what we're doing here. I went ahead and said, okay, Olave Initiate. Let's go ahead and embrace this. From 1st to 3rd level, a character of the Druid class is technically not a Druid, but an Olave. Ordinary members of, since this is Rabivania, we'll say Rabivania here. We'll have to rewrite it later for just plain Celtic. But ordinary members of Rabivanian society may not distinguish between Olaves and true Druids, but members of the priestly classes of Rabivania certainly do. In order to advance to 4th level and officially become a Druid, I think we had some notes on that. Well, it's this kind of notes right here. Oh, and also that. Let's see. Stray says, I've seen druids use bows from magic wood before. The string was from the hair of a nymph. Should they be able to use bows? I mean, their major thing is being a magic user, right? So, I mean, we want to power them up through magic and stuff like that. So certainly in just the most strict ruling of old school essentials, the only weapon they can use is a dagger. But I think it's certainly enough to also give them staffs, especially since I'm about to say that their staff is something special. Like, because this is also one of the classic ways that old school essentials and old school games balance things is not across single levels. Like, does the Thane and the Druid and the Bard, who are all level 3, are they all equal? Well, OSE does not care. What they're going to say is that, okay, at lower levels, this class may be better, but that if this other class, member of this class, can survive, then they will be better. So it's not balanced at any particular level. It's balanced across the entire game, right? So we're going to say that in order to advance to level 4th level, let's become a Druid. The Olave must undergo an initiation scenario. Led by at least 2 other Druids. See, by at least 2 other druids with a total of 10 levels. Because it doesn't make sense for 4th level druids to make other levels. Yeah, so let's start with that. Let's undergo initiation scenario, an initiation ceremony. Led by at least 2 other druids who have at least a total of 10 druid levels combined. A 4th level druid. Nope, a 3rd level druid. A 3rd level druid who has not yet undergone this ceremony may still accumulate XP as normal, but may not advance in level until the ceremony is performed. So you got to be kind of like in the good graces of the order. You're like, oh, okay, you're doing well. You're no longer an Olave. You are now a order. You are now a member of the order, which is at 4th level, which is a bit higher than they're saying about like knights, but I think that's appropriate. It's a bit harder to become a druid than it is for like a squire to become a knight. A druid using a knife that's made from some big animal. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that seems appropriate. That seems appropriate. Like a wolf thing or something, right? Yeah, that kind of thing seems very appropriate to a druid. It doesn't, in this particular understanding, it doesn't make sense for them, I think, to have like glamdring. So that's why I dropped that. Okay, so until the ceremony is performed, a major part of the initiation ceremony is awarding them their druid staff. So where do we find that? Druid staff. Let's go ahead and go immediately to druid staff. So a druid staff. The druid staff is a highly personalized item crafted by higher level druids and gifted to the druid during the ceremony in which they are obtain 4th level. No, not 5th level. 4th level. So what does this do? In the hands of a druid, so when wielded by the druid, when wielded by the druid, this staff can harm creatures that are immune to normal, let's not say mundane. What about normal attacks? To normal attacks. Does that get across that? Ceremony, when wielded by the druid, may harm creatures that are immune to normal attacks, or like what is the alternate phraseology, may harm creatures that may harm creatures that may only be damaged by magical attacks. I'm not sure which is better phraseology. You tell me. So your staff is treated as magical if you need to strike something that can only be hurt by magic. Now, so this is from something in OSE. Once per day, the druid may cause their staff to radiate light. I'm thinking about deleting that and leaving that for something else later. Once per day, the druid may call. Let me make sure I take a snapshot of this. I should have been doing that already. One of the reasons that I love working in Scrivener is being able to take a snapshot. Because let's not say, that's very Gandalf-like, but maybe we leave that to the later the 12th century kinds of druids. That's the kind of thing they can do. You get to harm magical creatures, and then also, but I think that the important thing, rather than the light thing, let's just say that you get to charge it as a wand. Also, I'm going to have to look up those rules. The druid may charge his or her as a wand, may charge his or staff with magical powers as a wand. Now, I'm going to say look that up because I don't know exactly what that means yet. So look those rules up. But also just make it something that, okay, you can charge that up with some type of spell. You can make it light if you wanted to, if you have access to light, or the equivalent of magic missile or whatever it is. That you don't have to worry about making a new wand or something. You can just charge this staff. That's kind of what I'm getting at. The staff. Okay. So we got Strays putting in some information here. So another potential way of phrasing that, the staff is considered a magic weapon. Hey, Doc Flamingo. Good evening. The staff is considered a magic weapon, or is considered magical for the purposes of damage resistance. Okay, so we'll look up exactly what the best phraseology there is in the old school RPG, essentials kind of way. Purpose of damage resistance. Yeah, because that might actually be the one to go. Oh, and yeah, hey, all right, everybody's here. Got lots of people here. So there we go. So whatever, that's what we're trying to get. We'll come up with the exact phraseology, but that once you've got the staff, okay, it strikes magical stuff and can be charged as a wand. I got to look up those kinds of the rules for making a wand, but it needs to be easier to charge your staff with some kind of spell than it is to do a wand. And that makes sense then to get rid of the light. Because if you want to do light, then okay, do light. If you want to do something else, then do something else. And that makes your staff special and unique. And the point of this is to be special and unique. Okay, so then charm immunity. Druids of 7th level and above are immune to charms of the Kuasfina. Those are the creatures of the other world. So you're immune to charms of the creatures of the other world, and then also at 7th level. And then druids are immune to the charms and fascination effects. We probably want to write that first, because that's just straight out. Charm immunity. Druids are immune to the charm and fascination effects of any bard of lower level. That kind of gives our supremacy of the different Celtic druidic ranks, or Celtic priestly ranks. So the bard we just went through has the different different ways to charm people and stuff. But if you've got a druid that's higher level there, the druid's not going to be affected by your charms. The druid's going to see through that. So I like that. But then also, druid's immune. Then at 7th level, druids 7th level and above, druids are immune to the charms of the Kusfina, the creatures of the other world, which, that's very Celtic, that, you're going to be charmed and taken off by some kind of weird creature from the other world. So would you say that at 7th level, druids become immune to being charmed and fascinated by some kind of weird something from the other world? Okay, this one's not, this one is part of Old School Essentials, but it's not really all that, it's not really much of a restriction. Holy symbol. A druid must carry a holy symbol, such as a sprig of mistletoe, which the character must target. Okay, fine. Yes. All right, see you later, BGD. You have to cash out. Yes, I will see you. Yeah, we're going to be playing Sunday again. So, I've started streaming on Sundays, but this particular Sunday, I've got another an RPG to play with BGD and Better with Bacon and other people. So I'm going to have to figure out how to do that, because I won't be streaming Sunday night during that game, because I have a game to play. The game came before I decided to change my streaming dates. So the stream might be earlier this Sunday or something like that. We will see. But I'm very much looking forward to that. I've said before, BGD, I said before, anyone here, if you ever get a chance to play in BGD's games, you should absolutely do that. Because, like, no joke, every time I'm in one of his games, I go to sleep that night and I dream about the game. Like, no joke. So if you're like in one of the virtual conferences, not conferences, conventions, and you have a chance to play with BGD, Chris Bynum, you should absolutely do it, because it's amazing. He runs amazing games. Okay, so holy symbol, that's not really that much of a restriction. Okay, whatever. Okay, so you have to have your holy symbol. Disfavor, druids must be faithful to the tenets of their animistic religion. Druids who fall from the favor of the spirits of rock, root, and stream may incur penalties as determined by the game master. So that's very old school kind of stuff too there, that I feel like I am writing a whole bunch of stuff for the classes, more than probably is the case in a lot of OSE kinds of stuff. But on the other hand, this kind of thing, like, okay, throw it to the game master. Like, if the druid is doing something that is a complete anathema to their kind of, to their religion, then the game master gets to decide the penalty. Like, just be aware of that you've got to do that. Magical research. A druid of any level may spend time and money on magical research. This allows them to create new spells or other magical effects associated with spirits of rock, root, and stream. Very old school there as well. Okay, so we're looking at spell casting, XP, hit dice, and Thaco as magic user. Now, I was actually as spells per level as magic user. Okay, let's do that. And saves as a magic user. So we'll copy that over. Although one thing that I was wondering is that since we have these other kinds of powers, and I got to look at this in more detail, like really study the XP advancement charts. But like we know from something like in Old School Essentials between Fighter and Knight, okay, the Knight just has more stuff. So how does Old School Essentials handle the Knight being a fighter but with more stuff? Well, they handle that by saying that the Knight has to get more XP in order to increase in rank. So we don't have a standard magic user here. Well, maybe, actually, come to think of it, maybe that's going to be the Witch. I hadn't thought about that, but maybe that would be the Witch. But we are adding abilities on. We're adding abilities onto the Druid. So I was wondering, okay, so should we actually... okay, here we are. So is it possible that we need to increase the number of XP that the druid needs to get. I'm not sure about that. I got to look at that in more detail. But I would say, especially now that I'm thinking about it, if the witch has less powers, has less extra powers, so if the witch has less extra powers, then she should advance faster. So I'm thinking about her as like the specialist kind of mage. But if she doesn't have as many extra powers as the druid, then she should advance faster. So as a point of balance, we should probably take a look at how does the druid advance with regard to the witch. Possibly the druid needs to advance more slowly. And that also definitely fits the idea that it's difficult to become a druid. Like there's a lot of things to learn. There's a lot of whatever that it takes you a lot of experience points to level as a druid. And again, that's the old school kind of way of balancing things. We're not balancing things for every character at 4th level. We're balancing something across the whole game where everyone's expected to go from 1 to 14th level or whatever. So I got to look at that. That's going to require more study than I want to do on a live stream. But I'm thinking about that. Oh, okay, so we might need to go higher XP there. So last time we were definitely thinking about how does a druid cast spells. Because we're saying the magic user in OSE has a large number of potential spells, but has to find and record them in a spell book and memorize them from the spell book each morning. Whereas the cleric has access to everything, all of their spells that they pray for in the morning. I'm talking about standard OSE. They have access to all of their spells immediately. They just pray for them, but their spell list is more limited. But here, this doesn't seem right because the druid is not going to have a spell book because by nature, they don't write things down. And I don't like this idea of the druids having instant access to all this. We also played with the idea, and this may be something that just has to be play tested or something. Because could we say, and I'm actually kind of still leaning toward this, is saying that what is the druid spell list? The druid spell list should encompass the bard spell list and the Vates spell list, as well as more stuff besides. So that being the highest order of the Celtic priesthood, the druid can actually cast all spells of the priesthood. I kind of like that, but that doesn't mean that they're going to have instant access to all of them. It just means that they could potentially learn all Celtic priestly spells. So let's not have instant access. We don't want. I don't think we say, hey, the druid can, just pray. Whatever it is, petition. I use the word petition the spirits instead of pray for. I like that when I was talking about the bard, and I kind of like that. The druid can't just petition for all possible spells. There needs to be some kind of gate, although they can learn all possible spells. So we could use something like this, like a druid-like spell book, using something like instead of a book, the druid carries a bundle of sacred sticks, carved bones, river stones, each inscribed with the Ogam ruin of a specific spell. So the druid doesn't know a spell unless they possess some kind of physical totem for that. And I also kind of like them hanging those kinds of things off their staff. So they've got these things, and then part of what they do is they hang the prepared spells off their staff. So it still kind of has that element, which is, old OSE is built upon, about the wizard finding a scroll. Okay, but they're not finding scrolls, but they are finding new runes carved into a tree that allows them to cast a spell, or they can go to some kind of mentor. Like they could ask a higher level, bard to teach them. If you're a low level druid, if you're like an Olave or something, and you could find a higher level druid, will you please, a higher level bard, will you please teach me this spell? That's kind of the way that I'm going there. And I'm kind of thinking that I like it. There's also the handicap for the two of them via gear and upsetting their magic source, so inherently the classes will be tougher to play. Yeah. So yeah, the druid, like the magic user who is dependent upon the spell book or whatever, has some type of dependence, some type of item dependence. But their advantage is they've got a tremendous variety, more so than any other. They have all of the spells of the bards and the vates. Potentially, they can potentially learn all the spells of the bard plus their own spells. Advantage in magic items: druidic wands often require striking the person. You know, I had written that where in the story, and I hadn't thought about this. Where druids, in order to bless somebody, has to strike them with their wand. Like the warriors are getting ready in the morning in order to go out to battle, and so the druids come out to bless them, and they don't just like wave the wand from far away, but they actually have to strike the warrior with the wand, you know, the branch or whatever that is blessing them. I had like innately, I guess, picked up on that, but that might and then I read in the AD&D book that's like a feature of the Celtic world, at least according to it, that druids have the wands, but they don't cast the spells from far away, you know, and like a ranged attack. That in order to cast a spell upon someone, the druids strike them with their wand. I think that's interesting. And then also, okay, so at reaching 11th level, the druids may establish a sacred grove or stone circle at some wondrous natural site. 1d6 apprentices of level 1 to 3 will arrive to study under the druid. So, I mean, I think that's also pretty close. And that's also pretty close to having the druid done. It's the real technical stuff about looking at the spell lists. And so I got to look at that in detail. And then also the major technical aspect of looking at the experience points in relation to the witch, which we haven't done yet. So I need to look at the witch and how do those compare, and perhaps they are balanced by their XP tables. This is complicated. And then also so like, you know, I want to add some extra spirit flavor, some extra Celtic flavor into the spell list by like having the spirit wall and things the druids can do. So I want to add those in, and so there needs to be some additional spells that are particularly Celtic that the druids need to have, and the spirit wall is one of them. Especially when I think about, I mean, I think that does come from Celtic stories, but then when I think about the King Arthur series, the Warlord trilogy by Cornwell, when like Merlin and the druids are like putting a spirit wall up that none of the warriors will cross, and so another druid has to come up and tear it down. Like we need to have those kinds of things to increase kind of the druidic flavor. Someone hit me with some brambles. I want to choke someone too, right? Yeah. So you come up and whack you with like a holly leaf or, you know, holly branch or something. Okay, so let's just go down from there. So there's a couple of things that require a lot of technical analysis there, but we're getting down to the points where there's the technical analysis. We're going to move on to, like, we could jump down to Vate, but let's not jump down to Vate yet. So I was still trying to work with Vate, which is the second of the three priests. But let's take a look at Fionn, which is going to be inspired by the Ranger. And I don't think this one is too difficult. I think we pretty much have a pretty good handle on it. It's the spell casting classes that, I mean, probably makes sense. It's the spell casting classes that are taking the most time to think out and you know, figure out what to do with. But here's the Fionn, the Fianna plural, which is kind of built off of the Ranger, which is the group of like wandering warriors who are not really beholden to anybody, but they travel the land and kill things. So in this case, we said minimum. Again, the minimums are 9. Minimum con 9, minimum wisdom 9. Sorry, turning off my heater here. Prime requisite strength, hit die D8, Maximum level 14. Okay, leather, let's go to bark cloth. I don't know how I'm going to write it, but hardened bark cloth. And I am not ever going to write the word chainmail. This is coming over from OSE. We're going to use just the term mail here. Hardened block cloth, mail. We should probably also allow scale armor. Scale armor, mail, and shields. Because I think that's what our breakdown's going to be. We'll revisit the armor once we do all of the gear for the Celtic world. Weapons, any? It makes sense. So they are the hunter of the wild to the wandering warriors. They are living on the outskirts of Brabavanian society and not under the control of any, nominal control of any particular lord or something like that. They are going to get, that's the flavor text. I don't have this sorted really well. Okay. The equivalent of species enemy, hated foe. So we're not going to use the term rangers. So I've got ranger down here, but this is, that's plural. Fianna are sworn to enemies. So we need some type of list here. At first level, the Fian chooses one enemy type from the following list. And this is adopted from the Celtic source book, the AD&D Celtic source book. Like the things that are a Norda's brood, the witches, and I think it's kind of interesting that you do have witches down here. So we do, one of the things that we had in the 12th century book was a little bit of tension between the character classes. And I think having that at least a little bit here is also good. I'm not a fan of PC versus PC combat, but having some type of having some kind of inter-party tension when it makes sense, can lead to some interesting role-playing situations. So if you have a particular Fian who is really against witches or hags, okay, we're not using the term she anymore. We have, what is our new term right over here? The Cuas Finna. So we're not the she or the fae of the other world. I think we need some other options here. Also, okay, so who, if the Cuas Finna are kind of the good guys from the other world, more like the tricksters from the other world. The Sol Gin are the evil kinds of things. So that should probably be an option. And then so we're saying the Fian would gain a +1 to damage roll against their chosen enemy type. Furthermore, they can identify signs of these creatures, such as nests or territorial markers, in a 5 and 6 chance. Again, not wardens. I went back and forth with what I'm supposed to call this, but I think this is the most Celtic. Fianna are always alert for the snap of a twig or the scent of a wolf. They're only surprised on the roll of a 1. They can do stealth and foraging. In the wilderness, a Fian has a 3 and 6 chance of hiding and a 3 and 6 chance of moving silently. Foraging, a party containing this is a Fian, has a 2 and 6 chance of successfully foraging for food instead of the standard 1 in 6 chance. Fianna can identify and follow tracks. The chance of success is determined by the Ranger tracking table. Okay, we need to bring over the Ranger tracking table. So I'll just say bring this over. Fianna are servants of the tribe. Or let's say we'll have the Warren. Not hoarders of gold. So they can only carry, they have what they can carry, and then they donate the other things. And then starting at 8th level, the Fionn gains the ability to cast spells. They cast from the Druid spell list. But I don't think this needs to be but now this is not the Druid spell list. I think this needs to be the Bards, because the Druid spell list has become everything. So now this needs to become the Bard spell list, representing the magic of rock, root, and stream. They cannot use scrolls or spell books because everything is oral. But like, what type of druid is going to be making those? But but you could say, but also, or any one-time magic effect. Or any item that causes a one-time magic effect. And then at 9th level, the Fionn. Is that double in? Or is it at 8th level? No, wait. Okay, it's cast spells. At 9th level, the Fionn, maybe single is 1 in. I'm going to have to look that up. Attracts followers. They attract a warband. They determine followers. It won't be a fighter this time. It will be as a Feared's rabbit. But there's a 50% chance that the followers are Fianna, levels 1 to 3, rather than a normal Feared's rabbit. They will automatically share the Fionn's species enemy. There's 1 in right there. So you automatically form that. And then some loadout options. And there you go. That is, okay, this is the Fionn progression from the Ranger. Let's get rid of these titles over here. But this came over from standard OSE from Ranger. It's only 10, is it? What do I say up here is the maximum level 14? Where are my other levels? Well, why can't I just type outside of this? Well, I don't know. I just want to put where are my other levels up to 14? We'll have to remake that. Anyway, but we're bringing over basically the Ranger. We're importing the Ranger progression table. Okay, let's go over here to Feared's rabbit. So this was a problem, we said. Because this is supposed to be our basic fighter, right? And the advantage is that there's no restrictions that you've got, and you have no kind of obligations, but on the other hand, you have no special abilities. But this is now the one that I am least happy with, because I have put a lot of like special stuff on a lot of the other classes. And now the only class that I'm like, that I would feel when I'm reading it, that I'm like, oh, well, why would I play that, becomes Feared's rabbit. Stray says the rune craft won't have to be limited to a person, maybe, but a naturally occurring effect of the whole of Druids, like a side effect of their magic gathering in one place. I'm not exactly sure what you mean there. Nature static. Let me go. Okay, so let me go over here to Carcass Crawler. I'm going to copy this over from Carcass Crawler. Let me see if I can have this up. Yes. Okay, so here are optional rules for fighters. So what does this say? So, like, I think we need some optional. I think we need to add in some optional rules over here. I mean, a major part of this is you don't have major limitations, so that's big. And you can have, you can wear whatever armor you want. You can use whatever kind of weapon you want. Okay, but this says from Carcass Crawler 1, groups who prefer fighters to have a little more mechanical complexity, which I think is what we need right here, may allow characters to select one of the following combat talents at 1st, 5th, and 10th levels. One of them is Cleave. When in melee with multiple foes, if the fighter strikes a killing blow, they immediately make another attack against a second foe. The second attack roll is penalized at -2. Okay, I'm down with that. Defender. When the fighter is in melee with a foe, any attacks the foe makes at characters other than the fighter are penalized at -2. Okay. Leader. Mercenaries or retainers under the fighter's command and within 60 feet gain a +1 bonus to morale and loyalty. All the fighter's allies within 60 feet gain a +1 bonus to saves against fear effects. Main Gauche. When fighting with a dagger in the offhand in place of a shield, the fighter may choose each combat round to gain a +1 bonus to AC or to attack rolls. That one doesn't seem very Celtic. I mean, especially as it's named Main Gauche. Slayer. The fighter gains +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls when in combat with foes of a specific type. The type of enemy must be chosen when this talent is selected. That seems like it duplicates what we were just talking about with the Fian. Weapon Specialist. Now, I think that one kind of works. The fighter is an expert with a specific type of weapon chosen by the player, for instance, maces, two-handed swords, longbows, etc. They gain a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls using this type of weapon. If using the optional weapon proficiency rules in Old School Essentials, Advanced Fantasy, this... Oh, maybe I didn't copy all of this. Oh, it says this combat talent should be disallowed. That's what it says. I have been a big fan of the multi-attack, which is oddly enough not listed there. That allows the character to attack more than one foe when fighting foes of 1 HD or less. So I think that one needs to be articulated more. I would drop Main Gauche. I'm not a big fan of Defender, but okay. But why not do this? You're going to choose one of the following combat talents at first level. Oh, you get to pick this at first level. Interesting. 1st, 5th, and 10th. Well, I actually kind of think this multi-attack, this one needs to occur at a certain level. That's the way a lot of people, I think, when I'm reading on Reddit and whatever, play that one. That, like, once a fighter is a 3rd level or something, whatever it is, they can multi-attack. They can multi-attack 1 HD creatures. Multi-attack to attack more than one foe when fighting someone of... I need to come up with how people are playing that on Reddit. So that's Weapon Specialist. That one works for me. This one, it seems like it duplicates... Fian. With its species enemy. That one seems like it duplicates that, something like that. I mean, get leader, mercenary. Okay, I mean, that's fine. Defender, I mean, okay. I mean, if that's the one you want, I guess it's fine. I'm not really, I've never been real impressed by like Defender. Cleave, I guess the difference between Cleave and the multi-attack is that this one is not based on anything to do with HD. When in melee with multiple foes, if a fighter strikes a killing blow, they may immediately make another attack against a second foe, which has nothing to do with the HD of their foe. So that one seems to be distinguished enough. You know, the multi-attack is the anti-little guys. Oh my God, we got tons of little guys here. Could be third, like every third level. I need to look that up. Or something like that, allowing you to really go through people. And you would say, why don't Thanes get this? But Thanes get a bunch of other stuff like that. Stray says, in my OSR games, I tend to let the fighter get like a +1 natural healing for resting. That makes them smile more often than they expect. Well, no, that's an interesting one. Something like Second Wind. I'll call it Second Wind. I have to look up exactly how it goes, but Second Wind from 5e or something like that, some kind of, that's really interesting. I like that idea. That one potential power could be that you could get back some hit points or something like that as you like take a rest in the middle of combat. And combat, I'm not putting a lot of healing in this game. So having your fighter potentially get some type of second wind, that could actually be huge. So I like that idea. I really do. Get some HP back in combat. I like that one as a possible one. So this already makes the Feared's rabbit or the Feardsman or the equivalent of our fighter more interesting, I think. To be able to have these, they can use any weapons, they can use any armor. I mean, the only thing that's kind of strange about this is that they're expected to, you know, if their lord is calling the Feared together, that they are expected to serve. But if you're a PC and like your land is under attack, you're probably going to serve anyways. I mean, I don't even consider that a constraint. So I think the flexibility here is really interesting. And then especially since you can choose, there's other things we don't have, you can choose some kind of power. Here you choose what type of power you want at different levels. That makes the Feared's rabbit or the Feardsman interesting, I think. Because it emphasizes the flexibility of this character class. This character class has to be about flexibility. You pick what you want this person to be like, which is unlike any of the other classes. Okay, I will think about that in more detail. We'll have to do the loadouts too. But I do like, thank you, Stray, for the idea about getting some type of hit points back. That would especially make this character class especially unique. Let's look at Raider for at least a few minutes before we go. We've been going for an hour and 24 minutes. Let's just try to get to an hour and a half. Because we had the idea of Thief, and I had this character class termed Raider, and then I turned it back to Thief, and then I believe it was, I forget who it was in the comments. It was like, no, you should make this Raider. I was like, no, I had this as Raider. So maybe it should be. So instead of Thief, do we want to talk about Raider? No requirements. That makes sense. Prime requisite dex. Hit die D4. Is this too low? I mean, that's very old school essentials Thief. Maximum level 14. Armor, any, but see armor penalties. weapons, any. This makes it different. This is kind of a Celtic take on this. It's not a fantasy thief. Okay, we're not doing alignment languages here. And we're not doing thieves can't. Okay, so these are, okay, you fight without honor as a raider and use the tactics of beasts, and so are often viewed with suspicion. The characters known to be, this would be raiders, known to be raiders suffer, a character known to be a raider suffers a -2 penalty on all encounter reaction rolls with rabbits. They are seen as cold hearts, distant from the warmth of the warren. I mean, so this is not the way you're supposed to fight. So, but how can we adjust this? I don't know. Clubs, I don't know. This pikes, we don't have pikes. We're gonna have to remove pikes here. But we're giving them more stuff than just small blades. So unlike, I don't know if we need to say unlike standard thieves, but unlike cutthroats in the dark, maybe we could say that, in the dark, raiders train for war. They may use any weapon, and they may use any armor or shields. But, yeah. But their special raider abilities may be hampered by wearing heavier armor. And that's, seeing the armor penalties here. There's no crossbows yet. We won't have crossbows in the Celtic world. The Predator Strike, which is the equivalent of our backstab. What if we just say, when attacking an unaware opponent from behind, the raider receives a +4 bonus to hit and doubles any damage dealt? And then, so this would be raiders have honed the natural instincts of the rabbit, hiding, listening, and freezing into a supernatural discipline. Raiders cannot read magical writings or cast spells from scrolls. Again, think about the status of, or think about the non-existence of scrolls. But might not be able to use single-use magic items. Lope says, have I looked into Cathork Borg? No, I have not looked into that at all. I don't know anything about that. Let me look that up. That sounds fun. Hang on. I see it on Drive-Thru RPG. Cathork Borg is an expansion from Morkborg Hack. Cathork Borg. Animal Adventures. Oh, Animal Adventures. Oh. Bork Thorg. Animal Adventures in a Gloomy Jazz Age. No, I have not looked at that at all. Climb sheer surfaces. Yeah, sure. Find or remove treasure traps. Yeah, okay, sure. hear noise, like they're going to surpass their racial ability to do that. Hide in shadows, yeah. Move silently, open locks, yeah. Pickpockets, yep. While the raider can wear the we're not gonna have plates here. Armor of a Thane. But doing so dulls their senses and makes them clumsy, and so we're gonna have hardened bark cloth, scale armor, mail. We're gonna delete plate mail. There's no plate mail. And that will reduce their move silently, climb walls, hide in shadows, etc. Or actually, you know what? We probably should move this down. So let's put this as mail. Put this as scale armor. We'll put hardened bark cloth here. And then like no armor here. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so there we go. Because the most we're gonna have, and then adding a shield. There you go. So this is raiders. Raiders do not attract followers or apprentices at 9th level. They do not build guild halls. A high level raider is a solitary legend, a ghost of the wood who survives where entire armies have perished. And then here is our raider progression table with XP. I don't know why. Where's my other? I'm going to look the rest of the table there. And then we'll put our basic load. It's going to be fun to do all the gear. It's going to be really fun to do the gear. Probably we'll have to look up go into a bunch of GURPS books to come up with like tech level appropriate Celtic gear. Then have to come back and rework all the gear. Okay. So where are we? I feel like we're still I feel like there's still so much to do, but I feel like we're making progress. I hope you do. Next up is the Riestrad, which is like the Berserkers. That's what I was looking for. The Berserkers. We've already worked on Thane quite a bit. We'll pass through it quickly, I think. Then Vate, we got to work on, Witch I have not really touched at all. We got to go into Witch. But then that's it. I mean, so we're not done yet with character classes, but the character classes are a major part of this, and we got to get them right. But I feel like we're making quite a bit of progress. I mean, you know, gear, then there's like the world building stuff with society and magic items. We're gonna have to rebuild a lot of the magic here. So that's gonna be a big thing. We've talked about some of the different like crafting magic items. We're gonna have to put that into a usable framework for OSE. So there's still a lot to be done, and there's still a fair amount to be done here in character classes, but I feel like we're getting a handle on them. At least I feel like that. I hope you do too. We're working on this. So Stray says, I think we're doing well. Well, I'm glad. So yes. So if you're watching along here and things like that, I feel like we're making progress. But in order to make something quality like this, I mean, there's a lot, especially the spellcasting classes, or especially because they require so much shuffling, require a lot of thought. All right, well, I am out of here for now. Now, okay, on Sunday night, I'm going to be playing a game with BGD and Better with Bacon and some of our other people. So I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to be streaming. I may end up streaming earlier as a result of that, or I'm not sure. But before I decided to change up my streaming times, I had already signed up for this game. So, all right. So I will talk to you later. Have a wonderful day. I'll talk on the Discord server or elsewhere on YouTube about when the next stream is. Sometime Sunday, probably. All right. Have a wonderful night. Later, everybody. Yes, exactly. Stay warm, everybody.